Good afternoon. It's afternoon. Some of you will see this tomorrow morning, Anyway, welcome to the Saturday 6. It's going to be on Friday afternoon right now. I'm actually going to try to move this to Monday. Just get it out a little earlier, give folks a chance to see and sort of look at the numbers and the matchup, getting it out before. And also I don't have to get up crazy early on Saturday morning. I could sleep in. So, anywho, this will be the shift. I'll have to redo the video, of course, because like the intro, because it won't be like me actually waking up in the morning, that kind of thing. But I'm excited. This should be a fun week of college football. We have some really good matchups, and I think that should start to winnow out. I mean, everyone. Oh God, we just spent so much time talking about like ultimately meaningless rankings, playoff rankings, because eventually, just perseverating so hard and spending so much time and so much energy and sucking all of the oxygen out of college football to talk about teams that are, when you look at their schedules, are not likely to win all their games. It's kind of stupid. So like arguing about where the committee has Michigan State is kind of dumb. I don't expect it's going to take a lot of luck for Michigan State to win out the rest of their games. Like, you don't do that. It doesn't matter at all. Like literally at all. So anywho, we're going to run through some of those games though. Some of those games that are going to start to sort of like determine who continues on in this, right? Like the schedule is a little bit backloaded, particularly I would say like the Big 12 schedule in particular is really backloaded. Most of the big games are in November. We're going to get a chance to see what Oklahoma's really got, like if there is a shot for them to improve. They're coming off a bye week. They're potentially getting some starters back on defense. They're going to need it. The defense has been really, really bad this season. In fact, if you were to talk about like the main difference, the reason that Ohio State has climbed back up the rankings is since Ohio State made the coordinator change, their defense has significantly improved. Now, they haven't had Oklahoma's injuries, but I don't think injuries are the whole story. I mean, Oklahoma's defense is just really bad. So, there's a couple teams like that. I mean, Michigan is hanging around. They're a very good team. They're going to get a stout test this week and a pretty good Penn State squad as well. I'm excited to run through this. There's some good games out there, and then there's some challenging games ahead. Oregon and Utah looms next week, provided they both win. I believe it's Ohio State, Michigan State next weekend. As I said, like I would expect Vegas to have Ohio State favored by more than columnists may think in that game. Okay. I'm excited though. This should be a fun set. Let's get going. So if you haven't tuned in before, I'm Rob Bauer and I'm the econometrician chicken behind Beta Rank. You can find all the stats you'll see here at sharpcollegefootball.com. I spend 5 minutes on 6 games running through the advanced stats. And trying to give you, sort of a little bit of an advanced stats perspective on how the games might shake out, what might turn out to be important, where the mismatches are. Not necessarily in the mismatch of like this particular cornerback is going to get smoked by this wide receiver, but this defense overall really struggles at this particular thing. Anywho, let's go ahead and jump in. First game, we get Penn State. We get Michigan at Penn State. So, of course, Jim Harbaugh versus James Franklin. This is a pretty good, this is a really good matchup just right off the top here, right? We get Josh Gaddis and this Michigan offense against a very good Penn State defense led by Brent Pry. This matchup here, I feel like is very much going to determine the game. We got to see Penn State do a really good job defensively against the Buckeyes, challenge them up front. Ohio State, I mean, it's interesting. I think Ryan Day has one of the best run schemes in college football, and they struggled to run the football against Penn State. They haven't been great running the football this year, but of course, the injuries at wide receiver. They also weren't great throwing the ball against Penn State either. In steps a Michigan offense that really does very much depend on running the football overall. They're coming at number 10 overall in Beta Rank. They're excellent at drive efficiency. They are very good at stringing together long drives to put up points. In fact, you look at this Michigan profile, this offensive profile you see here, it looks like an exceptional version almost of a service academy, right? Like far better passing, of course, than you would expect from a service academy, even all the way down at 51 in effective pass, but excellent drive efficiency. They rely less on really big plays and explosive drives. But that means that when Michigan gets into the red zone, of course, they're like, they're often not putting up like the big plays that, take you out of having to come up with red zone, plays to get you into the end zone. They really do have to make sure to maintain that efficiency even as they get into the red zone. And for the most part, they've been okay at it, right? Number 4 overall on drive efficiency. They're excellent at finishing drives. All the metrics you see today will be controlling for opponent and field position. Of course, not great at explosive drives, not putting up big plays. Pretty good at play efficiency overall at 13. Number 11 in negative drives. They're not allowing the defense to, force negative plays on them. 3 and outs, turnovers, right? Number 5 in effective rush versus number 51 in effective pass. They get a number 5 Penn State defense. This is what makes this matchup so much fun to me. Number 1 in drive efficiency. Like they do a very good job finding ways to get off the field, not give up long methodical drives. They're pretty good at containing explosive drives, but at number 17, that's going to be the interesting matchup here. Like this excellent, efficiency matchup here versus like somewhat more limited explosiveness. Can Michigan find a way to put up some explosives against the Nittany Lions? They might need them as good as Brent Pry has been and as good as they have been at execution and finding ways to get off the field. Really use the field to their advantage. 25 in play efficiency, their yards per play, controlling for opponent from field position isn't great. They're really going to have to be able to come up and try to keep Michigan from being so methodical here. But you really do feel like with this Penn State and the way, in particular, the way they shifted their defensive front against the Buckeyes, they really might be able to slow down this Michigan running attack, at least often enough to put Michigan in a position where they might have to throw the football. So they're at number 10 overall in effective rush, number 3 in effective pass. This is going to be the really fun, exciting matchup on this side. I can't wait to see this matchup of these two coordinators and these two units going against each other. On the other side of the ball, a little less sexy. So Mike Yursich is your offensive coordinator for the Nittany Lions. I think he's a really good OC. I think that they are a little bit away, like personnel wise, to be able to really execute what he wants to do. But 56 overall, 26 in drive efficiency. They are better at putting together long drives than putting up explosives to put up points. 71 in play efficiency, not great at their yards per play, controlling for opponent and field position. 78 in negative drives, too many 3 and outs, too many turnovers. Yursich has a bit of an air raid type background. He's known as a guy that leads a passing offense. 19 in effective pass versus 108 in effective rush. If you're going to be that bad running the ball, you have to be a lot better than 19 throwing the football around. They get a Michigan defense. This is pretty good overall under Mike McDonald. Number 15 in drive efficiency, but they are pretty susceptible to giving up big plays at number 49 overall. Again, like that's something to watch out for. Penn State hasn't been great at putting up explosives, but Michigan does tend to give them up. But where they really excel is in negative drives. Number 11 there. They find ways to force 3 and outs, force turnovers. This defense relies on showing up onto the field with a plan in that first frame. 17 in effective rush, 23 in effective pass. I'm really interested to see. I like some of what Michigan has on the defensive line. They're going to be favored in this game. We've got at Michigan 61% and almost 3 points, 2.82, for the Wolverines. Oh shoot, I just did the wrong thing. All right, we got this this on this side of the ball is such a great matchup. We've got Ole Miss at Texas A&M. We've got Lane Kiffin versus Jimbo Fisher. This is going to be so much fun. I mean, it does feel like the injuries are really hampering what Ole Miss is able to do offensively, but still a very, very good offense. Lane Kiffin and Jeff Lebby handled the offense for Ole Miss. Mike Elko is your defensive coordinator for A&M. They're a very, I mean, this is just a very explosive offense. They're 23 in drive efficiency. That could certainly improve, but it's not killing them overall. Like where they make their hay is number 8 in explosive drives. They put up big plays to put up points. Their play efficiency is pretty good at number 10 overall too. Negative drives, not a lot of 3 and outs, not a lot of turnovers. They tend to do good things and get yards when they get onto the field. What's interesting is because, Corral gets all the headlines, but they're at number 12 in effective rush. And that's actually the influence of Lebby. I mean, Lebby was, his background is out of that spread him out to run Art Briles Baylor offense. I'm interested to see this here because they're only at 31 in effective pass, but when they do throw the ball, they're really good at it. Of course, but they have some wide receiver injuries. Just keep an eye on where they are here a little bit. They get a really solid A&M defense, number 4 overall in beta rank. I mean, the defensive line here has some dudes that are going to play in the NFL. Number 11 in drive efficiency overall, number 7 in explosive drives. They really do a very good job of not giving up explosives, finding ways to get off the field. Negative drives really stands out here. Number 5 overall, lots of 3 and outs, lots of turnovers. They forced the offense to do negative things. They made Bo Nix and that Auburn offense look pretty silly last week. Number 7 in effective rush, number 4 in effective pass. I mean, this is a defense that doesn't have anything that really stands out as a major weakness at all, of course. Sorry, my dog's pretending to hack something up over there. They don't have any particular weak. This matchup here, getting to watch the Ole Miss offense against this A&M defense is going to be a lot of fun and really the highlight, I think, because when you flip it over, oh boy, it's it's a less exciting matchup. So Jimbo Fisher's your play caller here. Since they've had the QB injury for A&M, the offense, who knows what the offense would have graded out without the injury, over the season. But other than that game against Alabama, it really hasn't been great. Number 58 overall, 43 in drive efficiency. That's on the wrong side of middling in the Power 5 for drive efficiency. They struggle to put together, long drives to put up points. Not great at explosives. Number 60 overall. 39 in play efficiency isn't great, and 76 at negative drives is really killing them. That is just too many 3 and outs, too many turnovers. I mean, they've got to have better execution and a better plan. Not a big surprise on the run pass split. I mean, I think they're so really limited with the quarterback play that they've got. 72 in effective pass. I mean, it's just such a bummer because it's such a good defense to, this what happened with the offense and they just haven't been able to really gel because, this defense is championship level for the most part playing this season. This defense isn't championship level. DJ Durkin, this really should be his last year in Oxford. He really struggles as a defensive coordinator. It's really a mystifying hire by Lane Kiffin. 52 overall in beta rank. They're at 31 in drive efficiency. That's kind of middle of the road in the Power 5 at drive efficiency, finding ways to get off the field, but really struggling at giving up big plays. 68 overall. Their play efficiency is pretty good. They do a decent job outside of the explosives at maintaining, at limiting the yards per play, but really struggling at negative drives. Just horrible at 3 and outs, horrible at turnovers. No big run pass split, which is somewhat of an advantage, I think, if you're A&M, right? I mean, they do run the ball somewhat effectively. They're going to look to come into this game and hopefully be able to produce on the ground and then catch Ole Miss out. It's just not the game in a lot of ways is going to be decided, they're because these matchups in a lot of ways are so even, this game could in a lot of ways be decided by field position and is anyone able to break out and, have any big plays, whether it's these two sort of bad Power 5 units or their opposite numbers, which are excellent units in college football. Yeah, I mean, these are two very, very lopsided teams, and we get to see their best units really match up. That I would not necessarily expect this game to turn into a shootout as a result, because the matchups are sort of like, I mean, it's not like you have two great offenses going head to head and you have two lopsided teams that way. We've got this at Ole Miss 58% at home and 2.62 favored. Just mostly just it's the home field right there. This is a really good matchup too. I mean, on this side of the ball, I feel like we've got a couple of these where you're like, yes, I'm really excited to see this matchup. But that's what college football is really about, right? Is getting to watch the units that are really carrying the water for their team match up against other really good units. Those are the exciting matchups throughout the week. You get Dave Doran at NC State, Dave Clawson at Wake Forest, and an excellent Wake Forest offense under Warren Ruggiero. And then Tony Gibson, just an underrated, terrific job he's done with his Wolfpack defense. They were a really bad Power 5 defense for the 3 years prior to his arrival. He did a really good job at West Virginia as well, filling in last season after their defensive coordinator was let go. And Gibson's a name that should be jumping up people's job boards, if you will, for either better defensive coordinator jobs, at some big name schools, or, potentially getting a job as a group of 5 head coach. Anyway, Wake Forest, number 4 overall, excellent at drive efficiency, number 3 right there. Their explosive drives is number 6. I mean, they're able to both put together long drives, put together explosives. Number 11 in play efficiency. Where they struggle a little bit is 3 and outs and turnovers a little bit. That's sort of their weak spot. Is like if you can catch them off the bench, sort of shaking off the rust as they come off the bench, then they might be in a little bit of trouble. Number 40 overall in effective rush, number 6 in effective pass. This is the kind of split you're going to have. I mean, like if you recall back at that Penn State, which is the huge split, right? Like where they're decent throwing the ball, but just awful running the ball. This is more of like the kind of split you want to have, right? Like you're okay running the football if you're Wake Forest, but you're such a good passing offense. Like that's what really makes you go. They get an NC State defense at number 12 overall, 33 at drive efficiency. They're not, you can drive on this team. They do struggle somewhat to find ways to get off the field. If you get going. What they are very good at is limiting big plays. Number 18 overall there. Outside of explosives, they control the yards per play pretty well, 12 in play efficiency. And negative drives, they come onto the field with a plan, and they force a good amount of 3 and outs and turnovers. 16 in effective rush, 21 in effective pass. Not a really big split there, but you would certainly, if you were NC State, you kind of wish those were flipped coming into this game against Wake, because you know how they're going to come at you, right? On the other side of the football, yikes. So Tim Beck, the former Texas offensive coordinator, who I think is a pretty good OC, he was good with the Horns. It didn't work out because the Horns weren't great, but they were pretty good. They're number 45 overall on offense. They're scuffling along a little bit. They're at number 61 in drive efficiency. They struggle a little bit to put together long drives to put up points, but they are pretty explosive overall. Number 28 there. Their play efficiency is decent-ish at number 37, but negative. I mean, this offense is a bit of a home run offense. They're not a terribly efficient offense as you're going through and looking through this. Too many turnovers, too many 3 and outs. They're not great at running the football at all. Number 80 overall in effective rush, number 18 in effective pass. But on the bright side, you get a Wake defense that just is not. This is a bad Power 5 defense. It's tough to put together a good defense, I'm sure, at Wake Forest. Lyle Hemphill is your defensive coordinator here. They're at number 63 overall. Where they excel-ish is drive efficiency. They are able, because their offense is so good, they often have a lot of field to work with, and they are able to use that field to their advantage and keep teams from, putting up points. But the other side of it is 98 in explosive drives. Holy moly, do they give up big plays. 93 in play efficiency as well. 53 in negative. You're a little better at that negative drives number. But that's what, if there's a watch out coming into this game, is like, what does the Wolfpack do really well offensively, and what do they rely on? It's big plays. What is Wake really bad at defensively? It's big plays. This is going to be an interesting one to watch. Wake, you can get yards on the ground on them. You can get yards through the air on them. They're likely going to have to win a shootout here. This game is reasonably close-ish. It's Wake at 72%, and with 6.95, they're getting some of the home field advantage here. Should be a really tight game. If Wake turns the ball over, if they're -1 on turnovers, they could lose this game pretty easily. So this one should be a lot of fun. Again, as we've been going through, there's some really good fun, if you're just kind of flipping back and forth, you may not get excited about watching, the NC State, offense against this Wake defense, but you might flip back when, Wake's got the ball to watch that matchup. All right. I know it's like 5 in the evening and I'm drinking coffee. Doesn't faze me. Anyway, we got Oregon and Wazzu, Washington State. So, Washington State goes in at Oregon. As you can tell, Oregon's not that high. Oregon's not as highly ranked by Beta Rank as they are by the committee. Anyway, number 14 overall. 14 on offense. The offense has kind of been putting it together. Joe Moorhead's your play caller here. Mario Cristobal and Jake Dickert are your head coaches. The offense, they have become and really developed, and put it together over the last couple of weeks. They are a really explosive offense. They're not right now a terribly efficient offense. This number 36 in drive efficiency, they do struggle to put up, put together drives to put up points. They're going to want to, and in this game, and as you look, if you look over at the other side of the card here, Washington State is, kind of a middle of the road Power 5 defense at preventing explosive drives. That's a real watch out here, I think, for them. Number 25 in play efficiency for Oregon. They're decent-ish at generating yards per play outside of the explosives. And their negative drives here at number 17, they're pretty good. I mean, not a ton of 3 and outs, not a ton of turnovers. There's a huge runs pass split here at number 11 in effective rush, number 49 in effective pass. They're trying not to ask Brown to do too much. He really, he makes good decisions generally with the football. He's not the most accurate downfield passer. He definitely brings you something with his legs, and he's a tough guy. But he is a bit of a limiting factor, I think, at QB for where this Oregon team, might be able to go, because the way their defense has been going, they really need the offense to even hit higher levels potentially here. Jake Dickert's done just such a good job with this Wazzu defense. It's talk about a tough place to get a defense together. Dickert's really put together a very good defense for Wazzu. 23 overall. That's just such a good number for them. I mean, they building off of, he's only been there 2 seasons. So 26 in drive efficiency. They do find ways to get off the field and use the field to their advantage to not give up points. 31 in explosive drives. Again, that's a little bit of a watch out against an Oregon team that likes to put up points on big plays. But 19 in play efficiency, 30 in negative drives. I mean, not a ton of 3 and outs, not a ton of turnovers. But, they have it there where they tend to be better is against the pass. And that's, a little bit of a bummer is, you look at this matchup. Oregon's going to, line up and run the football against them and then look to hit some explosives in the passing game. This Washington State defense, I don't think is really primed to, potentially slow down this Oregon running game. I mean, Dickert's got a good scheme. I mean, he's got a good head on his shoulders. He might be able to scheme to limit this Oregon rushing attack a bit, but I think over the game they're going to wear down a little bit on that side of the ball. Flip it over though, and man, this Oregon defense is just struggling. And this Washington State offense is okay. I mean, this is a bad Power 5 offense right now. They're at 61 overall in beta rank. They've got a good special teams and the pretty good defense, so they're often working off some shorter field position. They're going to have to hope for that in this game. But 74 in drive efficiency, they really struggle to put together drives to put up points. They do rely a bit more on explosive drives, number 46 there. 65 in play efficiency is not good. I mean, outside of their explosives, they are struggling with their yards per play. Negative drives is decent, 46 overall there. They do have a pretty good run pass split here. They're at 27 in effective pass, 95 in effective rush. Of course, they do run the run and shoot, which is an option route heavy system. It requires Delora and the wide receivers to really be reading the defense the exact same way to make good decisions. They get an Oregon defense that it's just such an interesting defense. They're at 48 overall. They freaking struggle to get off the field. You can absolutely put together drives on this team. Everyone's done it. Like Arizona did it. UCLA did it. I mean, like, you can drive the field on these guys, even if they're not giving up explosive drives. They're limiting explosive plays. They're at number 10 in play efficiency. This is a pretty good tackling squad. They're not great at negative drives. I mean, that number there at 26 overall. I mean, Washington's. I mean, this could be as you go through this, like Oregon is no juggernaut, right? But it lines up as a tough matchup for Wazzu, right? Like Oregon's not great against the, neither great against the run or the pass. You can put but Washington State and, I'm sorry, I didn't do the coordinators here. It is Brian Smith's your play caller for Wazzu. Tim DeRuiter is your DeRuiter. I always get that one. It's like a history thing. Anyway, is your defensive coordinator. You can absolutely put together drives against them. It's just Wazzu has struggled to really put together drives. So we've got it as Oregon 70% win probability, 6.39 at home. They could go well past that if you look at where the matchups line up. This is Washington State is like if they get knocked around a little bit in this game, it's just not a great matchup for them against this Oregon team. Oklahoma and Baylor. Speaking of teams that are not ranked quite as high in beta rank as they are in the committee rankings. Number 5 overall for Oklahoma on offense. Lincoln Riley is both your head coach and offensive coordinator. Dave Aranda is your head coach for the Baylor Bears. This Oklahoma offense has really put it together. I mean, for the most part. I mean, this is for oddly enough, like this is compared to the last couple of years. This is not a year for massive offense the way we had in like 2019, even last year with Alabama, or the Oklahoma offenses of years past, going back to like 2017. This Oklahoma offense is 5 overall, but it's no juggernaut. They're at number 15 in drive efficiency. They're pretty good at this. They're not great, but they're pretty good at putting together long drives to put up points. Number 5 in explosive drives. They're number 19 in play efficiency here and 7 in negative drives. They normally show up with a plan when they get onto the field. They do tend to favor throwing the football. Number 8 in effective pass, 32 in effective rush. I'm interested to see because as they've been breaking Williams into the system, they do tend to make it simple for him, and how much are they going to be able to have it, the playbook and what they're asking of him expanded as they come out of the bye week. They get a Baylor defense under Ron Roberts. That's okay. I mean, they're at 39 overall in beta rank. That's on the wrong side of the middle of the road. They had a really bad last game against TCU. No juggernaut throwing the football, but if you look all the way down there, there's a reason TCU threw all over them. I mean, this pass defense is really, really bad. They're at 49 overall in drive efficiency. You can absolutely put together drives to put up points against them. They're decent in explosive drives at limiting explosives. Number 34 overall. It's kind of middle of the Power 5. Same goes for their play efficiency here. Outside the explosives, they do an okay job, containing the opponent's yards per play. Negative drives at number 42. Not forcing enough 3 and outs, not forcing enough turnovers. Great run defense. I mean, let's get that out of the way. This is a really good run defense, but Oklahoma's going to show up and try to throw the football on you. I mean, this pass defense is really, really bad. I expect Oklahoma's going to be able to put up some points in this game for sure. And again, even though these teams are going to be close together in beta rank, and this is going to look like a tight game. Vegas has got it as a pretty tight game. The real watch out here where this could get out of hand is Oklahoma likes to throw the football, and Baylor's really, really bad at defending that. So this could turn it. I mean, Baylor's going to have to keep up, and hey, they might very well be able to. Jeff Grimes is your offensive coordinator for the Bears. He's done a heck of a job since coming over from BYU. This is a full on, this is like a Phil Longo type offense. This is home runs and strikeouts. They're at 49 in drive efficiency. They're not great at putting together long drives to put up points, but holy smokes, they put up big plays and put up points. Number 3 overall on explosive drives. Even outside of explosives, they do a pretty good job with their yards per play, controlling per opponent field position. Number 24 overall there, but not terribly. I mean, too many 3 and outs, too many turnovers. That 67 in negative drives is not a great number. 14 in effective rush. They're really good running the football. They don't ask their quarterback to do a lot. Number 52 in effective pass. They get an Oklahoma defense under Alex Grinch that just stinks. Number 84 overall. Like I said, they might have some starters coming back off of injury. That would certainly help. But by how much, right? I mean, injuries, with injuries, you don't end up down at 84 overall and giving up what they are per drive, points per drive wise. Number 82 in drive efficiency. That's you can drive on them. 86 in explosive drives. You can put up big plays on them. 73 in play efficiency overall. 65 in negative drives. Now, their biggest problem that they've had, and they definitely have some injuries at cornerback, is effective pass. 100 in effective pass. You can throw all over Oklahoma. But they're at 58 in effective rush too. They really struggle to stop the run. Baylor's going to be able to get yards on them, right? So this should be interesting as well. If Oklahoma really is if they get some starters back, if they're going to start to show some improvement so that you really believe they're going to, they've got a tough slate ahead of them after Baylor. They've got, Iowa State, and then they've got a really, really good Oklahoma State defense to face down. If they are going to survive that, plus a Big 12 title game, to make it into the playoff and then potentially get mauled by Georgia, if they get Georgia, they've got to start to show improvement right here in this game, because this Baylor offense is pretty good. They've got to be able to shut them down, when Baylor tries to run the football, which is what they really excel at. We've got Oklahoma 70% win probability, 6.39. Nope, that was Oregon. We've got this because this is at Baylor, 57% win probability for the Bears, and just the home field 2.61. I'm leaning more Oklahoma though, personally, in this game. I like their advantages, but if you saw that Kansas game, you don't have much faith in Oklahoma figuring out how to stop the run and slow things down. This defense is really bad. Our group of 5 game this week. This is a fun one. We get San Diego State, Nevada, Jay Norvell and Brady Hoke. San Diego State chased Rocky Long out of town because he wouldn't modernize the offense, and look where we are. So Jeff Hecklinski is your offensive coordinator for the Aztecs, and Brian Ward is your defensive coordinator for Nevada. This San Diego State offense is really bad. 97 overall in beta rank. They're okay at drive efficiency, number 67 overall, but not explosive at all. Number 109 in explosive drives, 114 in play efficiency. Too many 3 and outs, too many turnovers. They rely on, San Diego State has they don't have great special teams. They have a great punter. And he allows them, along with an excellent defense, to really allow this crappy offense to work off of short field position. They're going to get a Nevada and I should say too, they're a lot better. They're at 41 in effective rush. You don't have to worry about them much in the passing game. If they do, they have a pretty decent tight end. Watch out for him. Nevada's defense is not great, 76 overall. That's not bad for a Power 5 defense to be, or in a Group of 5 defense, to be frank, but they're not. I mean, you would like San Diego State is going to put up some points in this game. 104 in drive efficiency. You can absolutely put up drives against them, but what they do pretty well, comparatively, is they contain big plays and they find force 3 and outs, force turnovers with their negative drives number right there. They are not at all. This is not at all a good matchup for them with San Diego State. They really struggle to stop the run. 97 overall in effective rush, 55 in effective pass. San Diego State is absolutely going to show up with a plan to run the football. I'm not sure if Nevada is really going to be able to stop them. That's that one is a little bit of a tough matchup for them. But Nevada should feel comfortable-ish bringing some men into the box to try to help limit San Diego State's run game because they are so limited throwing the football. The Aztecs are. Other side of the ball, I mean, this should be a pretty fun matchup in a lot of ways. This, you've got Matt Mumme, Hal Mumme's kid, as your offensive coordinator for Nevada. They're okay. I mean, you would have expected with all the pub about Carson Strong and everything that this would be a little bit of a better offense. But 41 overall drive efficiency, where they're pretty good, is putting together drives to put up points. They're a fairly efficient offense. They're not a very explosive offense, though. 96 overall in explosive drives. 81 in play efficiency outside of the explosives. They're not putting up a great yards per play. 50 in negative drives is a bit better. They are able to avoid 3 and outs, avoid turnovers. As you would expect with a Mumme as your offensive coordinator, they throw the football around. 13 in effective pass, 129 in effective rush. They're just not putting up enough points, though. I mean, like, when it comes down to it, like the fact that they're so limited on explosive drives is really limiting what this offense is potentially able to do, even with some decent efficiency numbers overall. They get a really good, kudos to the Rocky Long coaching tree here. Kurt Maddox is your defensive coordinator for the Aztecs. They're at number 13 overall in beta rank. But what's interesting is they really struggle with drive efficiency. You can drive against this Aztec defense a bit. Number 53 overall there, but they're very good at explosive drives. Number 14 overall. They limit, teams, ability to put up big plays against them. 13 in play efficiency. Negative drives, that's a real, watch out here. Number 8 overall there. They force 3 and outs. They force turnovers. Not a big run pass split here. This is going to be I'm excited to see this matchup. We've got it projected at San Diego State, 70% win probability, 6.4, points favored. This is, this could be a tough one. I mean, I think Nevada offensively has enough to put together, and they are efficient enough to be able to put together some drives against this San Diego State offense, but they could have a really long field that they're going to have to do that against because of, San Diego State's punter. So even if you're, potential, you would think you'd be able to outkick the coverage if you're kicking it 70 yards down the field. But, for this Nevada offense, even if San Diego State isn't getting much yards when they're driving the football, even if Nevada's defense is able to, potentially gift them some good field position, you got Matt Ariza out there and he's going to blast the ball, down the field, give you an 80-yard punt, and then what do you do, right? So I think San Diego State, this might not actually be that much fun of a game to watch, but they may, anaconda with the defense and the punter. They may anaconda Nevada to death in this game. Anyway, that should be it's a solid group of 5 game to watch. So that's it. That's our the Saturday 6 on Friday. I think I'm going to keep the name. I don't know. Most of the games are on Saturday. College football Saturday, whatever. Maybe I'll call it like this: College football Saturday 6. We'll see. Anywho, thank you so much for tuning in. Enjoy your Friday and Saturday out there. I'm excited for some of the games tonight as well. See if Cincinnati can actually live up to the billing against a pretty bad South Florida team. And Boise, I like their matchup with Wyoming. Some people don't. Some people think Wyoming's going to cover. I don't know. I'll be rooting for the Cowboys, of course, because I grew up in Wyoming. Anyway, I'm Rob Bowen. I'm the econometrician, economechicken behind BetaRank. You can find all the stats you just saw and a lot more at sharpcollegefootball.com. You can find me at BetaRankFB or at Sharp College Football. We have a Pac-12 podcast at 12 Pack Radio. You can find all the back episodes of that at sharpcollegefootball.com/12 Pack Radio. Thank you so much for tuning in. Stay safe out there. We'll see you next week, earlier in the week.